Hello and welcome to CNR Extra on Citi TV. My name is Nanatufo Boateng. Coming up. Retailers of sachet and bottled water want government to regulate prices of the products following moves to increase them from Monday, September 19.
I'm going to call 50%, 40%, 30%, and I'm going to call 50%. And then me bad, me manu pipe.
Ghana Private Road Transport Union (GPRTU) describes proposed 30% increment in transport fares by some driver unions as illegal.
That is illegal to us. It is not appropriate. And I set example earlier that from the previous pronouncement they have made, did you see any of that sort materializing?
Still to come, veterinary officers in the Ashanti region to embark on mass vaccination of dogs following an outbreak of rabies in 3 districts of the region.
For the last half year, we've detected close to 8 cases of rabies in the communities. And it's telling you that the dogs are not vaccinated.
And later, National Democratic Congress (NDC) to hold Congress to elect national executives on December 17, 2022.
And the Almighty National Congress will take place on Saturday, 17th of December 2022.
We'll be bringing you the details of those stories shortly, but let me say good morning to you, Latte.
Good morning, Anatifo.
How you doing?
I'm well.
First time on the show this week.
Yeah, good to be here.
All right, we're expectant of some good stuff from you. Good morning to you as well, and as usual, the show is interactive. We'd like to hear from you via the WhatsApp number 0550-585832. Send us your comments, your thoughts, and contribution. All right, we're starting off with the retailers of sachet water. They are not so happy with the proposed increment in prices of their products.
The story. Retailers of sachet and bottled water want government to regulate the prices of the products. They claim this will ensure fairness between buyers and sellers.
The call follows the announcement of an increase in sachet and bottled water products from Monday, September 19. Citi News' Beverly Langdon interacted with industry players and has come through with this report.
For the second time this year, the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers has announced an upward adjustment in prices of their products. The decision was arrived at after a meeting by the National Executive Committee of the association. Sachet water will now be sold at 50 pesewas, while a bag of sachet water will also sell at 7 Ghana cedis from the retail trucks. Having been in the business of selling directly to shop owners for almost a year, Michael Marty runs me through the price changes over the period.
When I started selling this water, I have a place I take it. So when I go there, the factory price before, in way back March, was 2 cedis. Okay, and it came to 2 cedis 30 pesewas. It has been 2 cedis 30 pesewas since the last 3 months. Suddenly, just last 2 weeks, let me probably say last week, the director said he has increased the water from 2 cedis 30 pesewas to 3 cedis. We tried to negotiate so that he would understand and feel for the customers. But he was also complaining that he has increased everything.
He laments that a continuous increase in the prices of the water products has affected the quantity his customers purchase.
Before, I used to buy 2 cedis 30 pesewas, I sell it 3 cedis 50 pesewas. But now, that is 3 cedis. And I have to jump it to 4 cedis 50 pesewas.
But from 3 cedis to 4-5, isn't that too much? Like 1 cedi 50 pesewas profit?
Well, before I get more than that.
But I'm not cheating the customers.
On my side, I don't think I'm cheating. If I'm cheating, then the cheating must be coming from the company. One thing I do is I work to gain. I don't work to lose.
Has the number of bags that they order reduced because of the price?
Of course, it has reduced. When a fellow is buying 30 bags, now when I go to him, he can buy like 5 bags or 10 bags. He's not going to buy beyond that.
The president of the National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers, Magnus Nunu, explains the factors that led to the rise in prices.
If you look at our packaging material, be it the sachet or the bottle, the complete packaging material you see is all imported. The granules are imported, the labels are imported, the caps imported, everything. Even the content we have, which is water, locally sourced. But the filtration materials that we use, some of them are disposable, they're all imported. And so then anytime the cedi falls against any major currency, we have our inputs going up.
Shop owners say they are often faced with a challenge of convincing and explaining the price increases. They argue that the increase in electricity tariff also compelled them to adjust the price.
Special say, omodi ba, car no direct 7 cedi. And the 7 cedi no, so you are car no service for ice ma, so for money 10 cedi. Because Uber to light no papo to and do a week pom banasa. A day at me to light 100 Ghana. Time there do 100 Ghana. Na light asa. And to Koyana Bessa, son, who sick now the age, we saw son ye biom now found cotton lights. Now fast up on now fast away. And now cool, there is okay. Cool, say I'm can't direct near CCD. It will be back out or bag good to me by 7 cities. I will fridge my A city. Usubenya 1 city, on Usubenya Kakra. Now said special cost 7 city, now bag more. Now Tony, it's no sound the fridge moon, and you 1 day soon, sir. I do almost when I is so sign because it's a weather no see and so.
They say the Yahunia no cra. Send a Yama koi, say the Ama Yana to be frank, ye bre ya a toffee truck mo. And now almost all move to Effie and Cheno. Say, na ubia paba. Because I own him say, Sena, ye ton so see, ye ton see. Ne obeko na ye see price as o fifi ba no na enya wadwin ni ho say na ekoso enti say na amawa wapa ba wa ebasa
tell we are say kon den ya e wo so omutum because light bill cry atum wo hwe mu so a kanea na omudi twa nsuo no omo roba ni nyina e kanea che say bibia e say niam akosoro ankasa enti nsuo ni de ye ntimi ntone 30 pesos and 20 pesos sa there be den ya ye betum but omo atum nti ya na sa na nkrofo ne banso a wo ka kire omo say ya tumu a na obi wo ho a obeka say o meto obi wo ho nso a okata kora a obeka say meba obesan abeto nti wo ye ne dan ya wo beto so what you say wo ye ne dan ya wo beto because enye nsuo nko a ya tutu bibia mu even fuel kora ya tum nti ni na e kan nsuo no.
Hawkers of sachet and bottled water are also faced with similar challenges. They tell Citi News they are unable to make enough sales as compared to previous years.
Every week, they'll be increasing it. We will buy it from like this week, now next week, then they've increased it. So as they've increased it, we need something to support ourselves. When we came to sell, then they will be complaining that why they increasing. The increase is too much.
So what do you do when people complain?
We just told them it's not our fault. It's the people that sell. So we came to also pick and sell and get something. So because of that, it's not our fault. Some they will not buy, some too because of the taste, so they will force themselves to buy.
So if I say first, now say almost on 6 cedis. Now to me turn back by 5 in a day. See, I know send out to me turn compare with the price increase.
Let me at on 1 and I say 2, because almost in a wire the month.
For some consumers, they have no option than to purchase sachet or bottled water at the new prices, but others have this planned.
It's comes with the way I'm sharing. Turn us out. And the said they are concerned. Said the Omani concern soon a moon man so echo. Never 50 pesos now. Upe umpo. But to be going and comes with the and this said again the way to me at the song akra and so dear we are not and they say so to but fat no more the mom
me say me cheap plantative city me gina jana noa e jana hit no e ma me num nsuo let me anum nsuo 10 a day because me num se si ananso come de me num ananso come de me it's 40 pesos there e ye din omo hwe maye omo di 50 pesos 40 pesos 30 pesos yenti mi nton e no omo di 50 pesos di e na me pa de me manum pipe. Oh, me manum pipe. Me.
Who shows a be affect your health?
Ebe then. Say a draw store. Me koto. Na me sa pipe the go bucket and cover wasu. Na me the tuma. Me sa so na me the go bottle mu na me the chef fridge ma. Menum. Me ni me ma benum. It is say me ma 10. And na pure water cost 50 pesos. It is me man mu 5 na me minimum 10 na ya hin.
The sellers, however, are of the view that should governments control the prices of the product, the impact would be bearable as compared to the current situation.
See, the boy did too much. I say government no share no on my at least somewhere call rounds. No, who said? They said time JJ was to say you call rounds. So I come back at no more. Who say we say ni boy there? At me away, obi anima baba from now so anye because who come market who kota there ne. 5 cedi or chombe kwa 7 cedi na nya ebia e ka say the 50 pesos na atu so na say the kase atu so u ko tonu 5 cedi office we na me kwa na ebia 5 u be kwa na 7 cedi we ko to kom 7 cedi u be fa ka u be ji we u be ba hi na u be tonu na so anya wo de kakra
ti say rolling time na ebia nyama no say 1 cedi na u ko to na u tonu 2 cedi a Okoton na uton 2 cedi a ya tumi ko e ba onchen ba bisa o say adentina o ton sa on say best sama ya nyina prices na 1 and say we ton 1 cedi na we ton say anka be boa ya nyina anka ya nya o beto na so enye ya menjin di say bibi sa be tumi happy say bibi sa tumi happy a na prices na ya level a anka be boa.
The National Association of Sachet and Packaged Water Producers is thus asking the public to bear with them.
When the utility tariff increments took effect, some of these other increments were expected. It was the margins or the percentage of increases what we were not so certain about. But some of these increments clearly were expected.
And for me, in this particular case, I'm not too happy with the manner in which the producers and even the retailers are handling issues. Why? Because this is something, it's an essential good, if you ask me, because water is something that everyone is. And if you cast your mind back to the 2021 population and housing census, a report on sanitation and water, you would realize that over 50% of Ghanaian households depend heavily on, sachet water because they do not trust the source of the pipe-borne water. And so for me, this is a really serious issue because you hear from one of the persons in the clip say that if she has no money to purchase sachet water, she's going to opt for, pipe-borne water. And we know how people even struggle to get potable water in our part of the country. We see a lot of people even sharing, water sources with some stray animals and all that. And so this is an issue we must. I don't know how government comes in here because this is usually, an issue of production. Exactly, it's as a result of production pressures
by private entities.
And they are in to maximize profit. So we can't fault them that much. But we, the individuals, or the consumers of this particular product, we are going to bear the brunt. And for me, it's also problematic how plastic waste is also a major issue. I don't know how we are able to introduce a policy that will look at these issues. Whilst you are talking about the cost of the products, you are able to ensure that it does not also litter the environment. Because these things you see a lot of people using sachet water, bottled water, and the disposal becomes quite problematic. So the producers are in to make profit, like I've said, and so they are not really concerned so much about, because we've not heard them. They are saying that we should bear with them. Prices of petroleum products are high, and cost of materials, everything. So they are going to maximize their profit and shift all this burden onto the consumer. But those who sell them, they are worried particularly how the margin is going to be, because this is the second time we're experiencing an increase in the price of, sachet. And
so what it looks like is that for the manufacturers, they will be making their profit because the increase is actually from them.
Yeah.
But for retailers, they may struggle to sell at the prices that they are getting it from.
Because individuals are not willing to purchase the commodity at that particular price. So it's very difficult to see how you are able to shape the conversation in this regard, because retailers are crying for the reduction in the consumption of the product. Producers are also looking at their and then the consumers are at the receiving end. And so I think if it will only take a decision by government to reduce, some of these things that we are talking about. But I don't know, that usually when things are reduced, the price of things are reduced, we don't see the resultant effect in the price of goods and services. So even if government comes in and then reduces the, the price of fuel, government reduces the cost of production, all that, we are not going to see anything. So it's very difficult to even, advise what the best solution will be.
Well, it looks like producers and manufacturers are quick to pass on the cost to the consumer. But never want to pull back when there's a reduction. They won't do that. Let's move to another story which has to do with increments. Earlier this week, we heard a proposed 30% increment in transport fares by some driver unions. Well, the GPRTU has described this increment as illegal.
Well, the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, GRTCC, have described the proposed increment of transport as illegal. The Drivers Union and the True Drivers Union announced a 30% increase in fares, which is expected to take effect from September 21, 2022. However, the GPRTU and the GRTCC are urging the public to disregard the proposed increment. Citi News' Ni Ayikwein Okain reports.
Some driver unions, precisely the Concerned and True Drivers Union, announced a 30% increase in transport fares, which is expected to take effect from next week Wednesday, September 21, 2022. This, according to the unions, is based on the current economic situation, the prices of fuel, as well as the prices of spare parts on the market. The unions have said that this is to ensure that drivers are cushioned in the current economic situation. But the Ghana Private Road Transport Union and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council have described this action as unlawful.
When the moment fares are increased, it triggers off increment in almost everything. If at all somebody had increased his wares yesterday, and then we make an announcement of fare increment today, he'll go back and increase again. Is that not true? So the question is that if we want to do, we normally have to conscientize the public and take this procedure. At the end of the day, when the communique is issued, all press houses are given copies. Then you make sure when you publicize it, then the public's awareness is created. It will soften the tension, and then before we fix a deal and effect it. We are the larger group. GPRTU and then the GRCC are the larger group. And then we are the sole body for the determination of fare increment. And because we are much more aware that our actions leads to trigger off most of the increment in all the general issues that affect the country, we are cautious. We normally have to make sure we have a good reason to make the first step and move to the second step until the fares are effected.
Because 20% increase in transport fare is not a joke. Because to increase 30%, it's not a joke. How do you expect a traveler to survive or your business to survive when at one city you increase your transport, your fares by 30%? It's not something that we can encourage. We as an industry, we look at the larger interests of the industry than looking at what goes into our pocket immediately. Because we are dealing with other players who are not necessarily, rich people in quotes. We are dealing with the small income group and all that. Now we can't do everything booga and think we'll survive. We think it's not right, so the public should disregard it.
This is the old Tema station in Accra, close to the Registrar General's department, and we would want to get in touch with some of these drivers find out what they make of the proposed increment in transport fares by the Concerned and True Drivers Union and what exactly the situation is on the ground.
I may say it's justified, in some way, because during the past times, the fuel situation favors more than how it is now. Because of the increment now, these little cars, 13, 15, 11 passenger car, formerly about 200 cedis, you fill your gap. But now about 1,000 before you can fill. And because of these things, increment of transportation and other things, passengers are not moving just like that.
So, do you mean that you've seen a reduction in the number of passengers you mostly get?
That's true. And I'm sure about what I'm saying. There's a reduction. I'm under the GPRTO until my executive or the leadership say increase, I cannot increase. But if they did not increase, it affects a whole lot. Only Peki station, who can load 2 cars or 3 cars a day, then what are we doing? We are running at loss.
We there, we can say that we have to increase it because we are facing the problem. We are on the road. Diesel matter is a problem. So far as they increase the diesel, the car owners do they increase their fare. And if you don't take time, if you don't get your fare, your sales, then they take your car from you. So because of that, we make it that we should make it so that you can be surviving. That's why they say that they will increase it by 30%. Go to this Abosokai now. This part, the part that, especially let's take it Thai. The way you buy it yesterday, today it will not be so. You see, so there are so many things whereby our drivers attach to the fare matter, and then they like to increase it like that way. So I mean that do we the drivers there, we are our own. We are that our own is right, but we don't have anything from our top men yet.
We've moved actually from the old Tema Station to Tema Station proper to also engage some commuters on the proposed 30% increment in transport fares, which is expected to take effect from next week. How is this going to impact on commuters?
Brother, Edwani boy din bibia boy din afensu transport nsu bo nsu kwa akoye din ni kirese transport enu an na ekofa edwani ne bre enti ye sa edwani nsu beko hai ye ntumi ntobio enti ye sra aban no nhwe eho sa eho position nhwe maye no nti petrol ni so kaka mo mu se na be ya ye nsu ye kwa akoto edwani e be ye fofofo kakra maye. Yes,
no, cause almost chiro, no best
almost chiro, petrol ni boy din. And this almost 5 being can one, omunya we sales. Enti na ba ni sa, enti aban no nhwe ye bribi wo petrol ni ho maye. Pa ni cho.
You know, da. Won sa be tun de. Ye ni nje. E pe se won ti so bon. Samuti fuwa suma uma na musu mati when rolling for so umbesa tumu de no de enye
omo driver for no bi no omo so say ahochira ba o so omo tumi na omo so eho ehe han omo
ka omo tum mama o so omo so tum say ti so ama uma o say omo ti rolling for so emaye
say ente so ye omo say full price na da we
omo ente so de o say omo so tum
omo ya adwen so
say I didn't see sir.
For some drivers and commuters in Accra, the proposed increase in transport fares from next week by some driver unions is justified. However, considering the current economic situation, they would appeal to the government to act in order for these drivers to also feel a bit relieved to rescind their decision. Reporting from Tama Station, my name is Ni Ayikwe Okain for Citi News.
Well, it appears there's some rift between the various driver unions. Recently, we heard they had come together to form a coalition of transport operators. But I'm not sure why it is. And then if you study this space, you notice that almost always the smaller unions come out to announce.
Go ahead with the price adjustment before the mother union we know as.
My worry is that this creates some confusion because there are some drivers who really do not belong to any union. The floating drivers, those Henry Cote has been fighting. You understand? So these people will go ahead with this implementation,
and that will even lead to price variations in the prices of these transportation fares, and will lead to the kind of confusion we see among drivers and commuters. And so I don't know how the Ministry of Transport will bring all these unions together so that when these adjustments are to be made, we hear from one particular group, which is the mother union, and then we see the way for it. Because like you mentioned, in this space, this is what happens when there's going to be any price adjustment. Earlier this year, when the 20% increment was to be announced, we saw something similar. These younger or smaller unions went ahead, announced. GPRT comes to say that we have not increased anything, we are now engaging. And so I don't know if they are not part of the engagement. I want to believe they should be part of
my confusion. Or perhaps they should be properly oriented to know the procedures, the modalities that come to play whenever there is a period for an increment in transport fares. And then also maybe we should know the windows for these increments, maybe twice a year, once a year, thrice a year.
But they have also said that anytime there is an increase in prices of petroleum product, they want to go ahead.
Oh, but that is not sustainable.
That's not sustainable. And so for me, the broader conversation we should be having is that the Ministry of Transport should come out and indicate to us publicly that this is the roadmap in the determination of new transport fares. This is the union we are engaged with, and this is the way forward. And commuters are also finding it very difficult to even identify which driver belongs to which union.
Exactly.
And so when you hit the street and want to patronize the services,
because you see what it looks like is these are splinter groups that broke off GPRTU because perhaps they feel the leadership is not really advancing their cause as they would want them to.
And we all know that it's the GPRT that is the mother union of when it comes to these transport organizations. And so when there are splinter groups, what is the Transport Ministry doing about it? And because more often than not, we hardly hear from the Transport Ministry other than the fact that they've engaged the drivers and this is the agreement they have reached. Hitherto these discussions, you not hear from them. And so I think that is where the problem is. So if the Transport Ministry will take the step and then ensure that we are dealing with this particular group, and this is the communication we are putting out there for commuters to know that.
So what it looks like is that you see the Transport Ministry is not a direct beneficiary of transport fares, for which reason they may not necessarily have the upper hand. They only step in to mediate on behalf of patrons like myself who patronize commercial transport, and by extension Ghanaians. So, I mean, it is the unions that really have to do their homework, have a proper line of hierarchy. Then we know that, okay, it is this union that champions the discussion for an increment or a reduction in transport fares.
If these unions also solve their issues, I think the Transport Ministry will have it very easier to deal with such issues.
Yeah, then clearly you know who to go to when the time comes for some of these things. Let us know what you also think. Send us your comments via the WhatsApp number 0550 585832. Still ahead on CNR Extra. National Democratic Congress NDC to hold a congress to elect national executives on December 17, 2022. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the details.
Creamy Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Brush, 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 brush your teeth. Brush, 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 2 times a day. Brush with Kel-Kit.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel-Kit's toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger. Ticky, ticky, whiter. Ticky, ticky, stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel-Kit. Happy smile.
Everything begins with an idea, and ideas certainly shape the world we live in. One woman had an idea, and she turned it into a hub of creative ideas. The JACCD Design Institute Africa. Let's step inside.
When it comes to creative education, JACCD is unparalleled. With its world-class fashion design program, state-of-the-art facilities and equipment, an animation and game development program, a graphic design studio, and a photography studio, JACCD is poised to be the leader in creative education on the continent.
The world has shifted to creative education, and we in Africa must change the narrative and be seen as adding to the growth of that system.
This is absolutely impressive.
Grateful that you could stay on with us. This is CNR Extra on Citi TV. Now, there's news of an outbreak of rabies in some districts in the Ashanti region. Well, the Ghana Health Service has some pleas or requests for the veterinary services to help curb this outbreak.
We head now to the Ashanti region, where veterinary officers have stepped up sensitization and warned that the region could record more rabies cases after an outbreak of the disease in 3 of its districts. This comes after health facilities in the region were asked to be on alert, follow up and treat all cases of dog bites after some rabies-related deaths were recorded. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
Between 2018 and September 2022, 74 suspected rabies cases were reported to veterinary officers in the Ashanti region. Out of the number, 38 were positive, with 49 dog bites after a laboratory test. 36 of the cases were also negative, with 28 dog bites, while the total of dog bites recorded in the region within the period were 77. Health authorities in the region are alarmed at the increasing rabies-related deaths and want an urgent vaccination of dogs in communities, especially stray ones.
Recently, we've realized that the number of rabies cases we are getting in Ashanti region is going up. And for the last half year, we've detected close to 8 cases of rabies in the communities. And it's telling you that the dogs are not vaccinated. And this is basically a zoonosis, a disease that's transmitted from animal to man. So whenever you leave these stray animals and they become infected in the community, and unfortunately they bite somebody, then the person will get rabies. So the area that we need to focus on is vaccination of dogs, and that is in the purview of Ministry of Agriculture. So we've written to
the veterinary services division. So if you have a dog, you own a dog, it's your responsibility to make sure that you send it to where the dog can be vaccinated.
8 persons have died so far after an outbreak of rabies in the Busumchi district, Kwabiri East, and Asante Akim South municipalities. Although veterinary officers carry out vaccination of dogs in their districts and offices, they want government intervention to embark on a mass vaccination exercise.
Veterinary services, by our mandate, we are supposed to carry out mass vaccination yearly. But for some time now, this has not been done. Of course, government is not able to supply the services with the needed funds for us to carry out yearly mass vaccination. And so individually, our officers on the ground throughout the country, they do carry out rabies vaccinations. But if we want 70% coverage, it is important that we set ourselves 5-year or 6-year program so that we do it continuously, so that we can have about 70% herd immunity.
But how common are stray animals?
Stray dogs, I believe they are common because individuals who own pets don't take care of them. They will just go in for a cat, a dog, and then that's it.
Persons with a suspected rabies case will have symptoms like headache, nausea, neck pain, anxiety, agitation, and pain at the wound site. A 3-day national breeding workshop on rabies was recently held at Ada with an overall objective to eliminate dog-mediated human rabies deaths by 2030. Veterinary officers say the outbreak of rabies in the Ashanti region calls for an urgent intervention by the government to support them to carry out mass vaccination of dogs in districts of the region. But they are also advising pet owners to be responsible. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Kumasi.
Quite worrying and calls for deeper and more intensified collaborations between the Ghana Health Service and the veterinary services. But then I'm also wondering that do we have any animal control service department that will be taking care of some of these stray dogs who are most likely to be the carriers of this rabies disease?
Well, I think everything will have to do with the vet service because as we speak, they are the only mandated institution to deal with such issues. And for me, like you mentioned, it's very worrying a situation we are having to deal with at this particular time. And for me, it's also not shocking having heard from the veterinary services denying the fact that, or not denying, confirming the fact that they have not been able to get the requisite resources because this rabies we are talking about is a vaccination preventable disease. It's not something that when the person contracts, it's vaccination or treatment that is, because the odds usually of survival is very low.
It's quite lethal.
It's quite lethal. So that's why I'm saying that you have to prevent it than contracting it.
Right.
Because the stray animals we have in this country is very even difficult to identify the owners. And so it is the veterinary service that has to do the vaccination exercise on a year-on-year basis so that we do not see this particular kind of outbreak. Because we know that all 8 persons who contracted the disease have died. Tells you how high the fatality rate is. So it is more about prevention other than curing. So it's more of a preventive thing than a curative thing. And so for me, like you mentioned, we have to step up efforts in the vaccination exercise, awareness, and also how we are able to get our streets off these stray animals, because you can't be walking, you could be doing going about your normal duties, and then you'll be bitten by a stray dog which is infected, and then you have yourself to blame in the end. So we want to let's commend the Ghana Health Service for issuing the alert, but we must also encourage them to intensify their efforts to ensure that things do not escalate, because this is an endemic situation that we are currently facing. It's not happening only in Ghana, for our part of the country or the continent. It's very common in Africa, it's common in Asia and all that. So we don't want to have a situation on our hands, because you know how fragile our healthcare system is, and you know how difficult it comes to healthcare financing for us as a country. We have not been able to prevent it in the previous years, and now if things get worse, we don't know how we are going to solve it. And we hear of this particular outbreak region by region. Today it's in the Ashanti region. the northern region is also dealing with it, meningitis, and all that. Yeah. So we don't want to experience a break.
Perhaps we should have a proper program, a structure, and know that, okay, in the first quarter, this is our target. We want to vaccinate this number of dogs in these number of regions. Then we know we are making progress. But if you listen to the veterinary officer,
so maybe those who have dogs,
the resources are not coming.
They are not coming.
So perhaps individuals should go get their dogs vaccinated, and to prevent some of it. Just when the WHO is telling us there's an end in sight for COVID, we are sitting here in Ghana recording rabies.
We don't even know if we are through with monkeypox and the rest. Charlie,
quite sad. Quite sad. Quite sad country now. But the largest opposition political party, the National Democratic Congress, has announced some dates for their internal elections.
National Democratic Congress has slated 22nd and 23rd October 2022 for its constituency-level elections. The party says nominations will be opened from 20th to 22nd September. Speaking at a press conference, General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, said all persons who filed their nominations successfully will be vetted from 30th September to 2nd October 2022.
Speaking at a press conference, General Secretary for the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, noted that the party has slated 22nd and 23rd October 2022 for its constituency-level elections. According to him, constituency nominations will be opened from 20th to 22nd September 2022. Mr. Esiedun Ketia indicated that all persons who file their nominations successfully will be vetted from 30th September to 2nd October 2022.
The appeals will be received between the days of 4th October and 5th October. These appeals will be received and handled with expedition before the elections take place. So after all the appeals have been handled, then there will be some time for the various candidates to conclude their campaigns, and the elections proper for the constituencies shall take place on the 22nd and 23rd October 2022.
He further stated that elections at the regional level will be held on the 12th and 13th of November 2022.
As will happen in the constituencies, there will be time allotted for filing and hearing of appeals. And this will happen between the days of 18th and 19th October. Then we would have dealt with all the elections. 11th November 2022 will be reserved for the regional youth and women conferences. 11th November 2022. 11/11/22. 11 plus 11 is 22. So 11/11/22 will be the date for the youth and women conferences at the regional level throughout the country. And then the actual regional elections will happen on the 12th and 13th of November.
For the National Congress of the party, Johnson Esiedun Ketia says arrangements have been put in place for it to be organized on Saturday, 17th December 2022.
Vetting of aspirants will take place between 9th and 10th of November 2022, and hearing and decision on appeals will take place between 12th and 13th of November 2022. Then we will allow for some time for campaigning and all that. And then Saturday, 10th of December 2022 is reserved for the Youth and Women Conferences. Youth and Women Conferences, 10th December 2022. And the Almighty National Congress will take place on Saturday.
For a party that is in opposition and is looking to take over the reins of the government,
to destroy plans of breaking the eight.
To destroy plans of breaking the eight, I think it's important that they expedite their internal elections so they know which team they have, assess the strength of the team, because mind you, these are individuals who are contesting individual positions, but after winning, they need to gel as a team, have one plan, one focus, collective ideas to fight or to destroy the attempts by the ruling government to break the eight.
So I think the good news is that they've issued their itinerary. We know that constituency in October, regional in November, and then a national in December. And so we want to wish the NPP well. We want to
the NDC rather.
Oh, sorry, the NDC will want to see how modalities for these elections will turn out, and then devoid of any internal wranglings. We know what happened during the NPP. We know we saw a lot of wranglings. We saw a lot of issues back and forth among some of the aspirants and all that. But we don't know where exactly they are going to hold this particular election. So we know that the NDC, as a matter of fact, is in opposition, and they want to, so maybe this is the time for them to convince Ghanaians that they are able to handle their internal matters well. So when the country is finally handed over to them, maybe in 2024.
Hopefully.
Oh, yes. Hopefully. Anything can happen in the next general election. So hopefully when the country is handed over to them, they are able to carry us to wherever they feel.
Already we've heard of some bickerings with Dean, some individuals.
It's not surprising that we know some names have also come up. We know Otokuno has said that he is going to contest for the general secretary position, and Johnson is saying General Mosquito we hear that is also preparing to contest for the national chairman. So let's see when the constituency elections end, we see what happens at the regional level, and then we get into the main action at the national level.
And then of course we move into the flag bearership.
yes, which is next year.
Of course, I mean, I think they should expedite it, because you see the work really should start early if you're looking to campaign and win an election. Wrestle power from a ruling government.
It's quite difficult.
Exactly. So they should finish early and have ample time to tour the entire country. Now we have 16 regions. It's not like back then when we had 10. So the work ahead is really difficult. So the party will really need to expedite their internal elections in a manner that is seen, that fosters unity and, of course, focus on collective ideas, teamwork, and then hopefully we see what happens in the year 2024. We will be here to provide coverage. That's our work. So
exactly. We'll bring viewers up to speed to whatever happens in that particular elections.
All right, stay with us here on CNR Extra. Still ahead. 15 drivers arrested for various traffic violations during Citi TV's War Against Indiscipline campaign. We'll bring you the details shortly. Stay with us.
Hello, babe. Wow, I'm glad you called. See, as we're eating, and I felt the food was so delicious, but I knew there was something equally delicious, and that is you. Guess what? My car broke down. I was left stranded and so frustrated until your dad came and offered me a ride and brought me to your home.
Yaya?
Yes, mommy.
Come and give me a hand, please.
As I set my eyes on you, babe, I couldn't help but shoot my shot at the dining table, and that was the biggest yawa of the day. And you led me to you, the love of my life. So guess who's going to be my best man? My car. Babe, won't you talk? Hello?
Well, too quiet. Unia, Janefa.
Lele, tasty food, happy family.
This advert is FDA approved.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. As an international journalist and actor, my health is my priority. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar in terms of my health. Let's hear what others are saying about Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Sister, please, let him talk to you. Who will be careful Endpoint one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na mkwan point no mo hwe me modem no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fae no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba ti ani je dia ba fie pa.
You heard everything yourself.
Me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko endpoint o mama nura ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's endpoint for you. Of Akrabato. Hello. Hey,
ohwehwe what che.
Okay.
A free bra would the endpoint what dance. I'm a choir no. Me Johnson say my name Koye and pass one of my embrain and a Magina Sabema. Now me be here for the hard in
You heard everything. I have secret. Endpoint is my secret. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
We're back at Biggie's for Big Brother Niger Season 7. Who will bring the heat? What shakeups will happen within this world? We'll be discussing everything. Don't miss the new season of The Buzz, Tuesdays and Saturdays from 7 p.m. only on Showmax. With never-seen-before snippets, interviews and reviews hosted by me, Toke Makinwa. Subscribe now at www.showmax.com.
You're welcome back. This is CNR Extra on Citi TV. My name is Nanatu Boate and I'm here with Ni Latte. Well, Ni, why? The war against indiscipline campaign is back. Yeah. Some persons who were put before the La Magistrate Court have been fined.
Motorists arrested for various traffic offences as part of Citi TV's war against indiscipline campaign were fined by the La Magistrate Court on Thursday. These persons were arrested by the Airport Police Motor Traffic and Transport Directorate for violating various road traffic regulations at East Legon and on the airport bypass. There's more in this report.
Drivers who were arrested on Tuesday and Wednesday were on Thursday arraigned before the La Magistrate Court for violating various road traffic regulations.
We are here because of IGP. IGP sent us here to enforce the law. So I beg you, you have been arrested.
For the offense of unlawful U-turn or wrongful U-turn, what do you have to say about the charges against you? Mind you, anything that you say will be put down in writing. You will sign against it and it will be used as an evidence at the law court.
Well, as I said, I'm not when I'm going to hospital. That's why I don't mean to do such a thing.
From national headquarters, we have arrested you for using the middle of the road.
18 persons were processed and fined on Thursday. 12 drivers who were caught at East Legon close to the underbridge were fined between 300 Ghana cedis to 960 Ghana cedis for failing to comply with road markings and making unlawful U-turns. The 6 others were caught for driving on the shoulders of the road and driving in the middle of the road on the airport bypass and were fined between 1,800 Ghana cedis to 2,160 Ghana cedis. 18 persons were today fined by the La Magistrate Court for violating various road traffic regulations. Their fines range between 300 Ghana cedis to 2,060 Ghana cedis. The caution is that while using the road, be mindful of the road traffic regulations because the police MTTD will be on the lookout with the War Against Indiscipline campaign team. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Ansheli Siwu.
It's important that some of these operations are brought back to ensure some level of sanity on our roads.
So it's good that we are still cracking the whip on offenders of the various road infractions and also making them face the full rigors of the law and they are being made to pay the necessary fine that will ensure that they do not repeat these illegal activities. I remember that yesterday they were calling for, a spot fine, so that they are not subjected to the, the legal process. But
because
I think
they feel this, the legal process more or less waste their time. But you see, the thing is that you have been arrested. So until a false foul of the law itself or infringes on your right, you will have to bear the brunt.
Exactly. So if you don't want your time to be wasted, you want to get to your destination on time, you have to do the right thing. Because as for us, when our cameras capture you and with the support of the police, you will be made to face the full rigors of the law, because the kind of infractions on our roads is becoming one too many, and if care is not taken, we will have a lot on our hands. So we will want to urge pedestrians and also commuters and even drivers to make sure that they obey the various road traffic regulations.
I mean, what's really irritating is those who want to drive off on the shoulders of the road because they are better than us.
The impunity alone,
exactly.
And they are better than excuses they give are
those of us
flimsy,
sitting in the traffic.
and they want to tell you that they are late, they want to go here until they are arrested. They find all sorts of excuses.
And those driving with stickers from the office of the president that are not really from the office of the president,
they should be on the lookout.
Yeah, exactly. Why is coming for you? All right, many thanks to you, Neil Latte. I mean, pleasure having you on the show. Pleasure having you on the show.
Much,
well, many thanks to you, and we're grateful that you chose us this hour. This has been our show for the day, CNR Extra here on Citi TV. My name is Nanatufo Boateng. Have a great weekend.